देर आर फ्यू, अभी एनजीओ के साथ जब हम काम करते हैं बाहर जाके, तो मैं मिल रहा हूँ जो लोगों से जो सेल्फ एडवोकेट और सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन के लिए मतलब काम कर रहे हैं, उन लोगों से भी हम थोड़ा कुछ जान पा रहे हैं और हमारा सजेशंस भी दे पा रहे हैं। जैसे कि अभी मैंगलोर में बहुत सारे फैमिली केयर गिवर्स कम्युनिटीज भी बहुत ज़्यादा एक्टिव है। दे आर फाइंडिंग सम काइंड ऑफ सॉल्यूशंस फॉर देमसेल्व्स। एक छोटा सा लैंड लेके कम्युनिटी हाउसिंग जैसा बना रहा है, क्योंकि स्टेट सपोर्टेड सिस्टम्स उतना उनको कन्वीनियंट नहीं लग रहा है, या फिर क्वालिटी ऑफ केयर उतना उसको अच्छा नहीं लग रहा है। तो and in this, whatever opinions and my personal experiences, they don't represent any position or view of any institution. तो इसमें मैं कुछ ओवरव्यू होगा कि क्या है सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन या आत्मनिर्णय, और सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन एबिलिटी, व्हाट आर द पर्सपेक्टिव्स ऑफ स्टेक होल्डर्स, कैसे हम समझते हैं, असेस करते हैं कि एडवांटेजेस और चैलेंजेस क्या है, जॉइंट डिसीजन मेकिंग, गार्डियनशिप, सिस्टम्स टू सपोर्ट, एक थोड़ा वे फॉरवर्ड। तो शायद मैं एक 20 to 25 मिनट्स ऐसा कुछ लूँगा, उसके बाद I would be open to offer any kind of clarification that I am aware. और ये जो छोटा आपका जो वर्कशॉप का जैसा कुछ क्वेश्चंस भी दिया है, शायद वो भी कर सकते हैं। तो जब if you look at the self-determination concept, it is associated with the governance of nations, like in colonial era, or even now when countries are ruled by other countries. They have launched this movement that we have a right to determine what is best for our country. And so historically, if you look at, that is how it has started, and later persons with disability has taken this concept that nothing there should be no plan without involving us. So PWD, persons with disability, started raising that they should be included for all plans, because the plans are essentially are meant for them. So ये क्या है? तो बहुत सारे कॉन्स्ट्रक्ट्स है, मगर एक मुझे अच्छा लगा कि ये सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन को डिस्क्राइब करता है कि ए कैपेसिटी टू चूज एंड टू हैव दोस चॉइसेस rather than reinforcement contingencies or drives or any other forces to be the determinants of one's actions. A basic and innate propensity that leads organisms to engage in interesting behaviors. और इसका कोर कंपोनेंट्स क्या है? एक छोटा सा नेमोनिक जैसा याद करने के लिए कि एक साइकोलॉजिकल एम्पावरमेंट है, बिलीविंग इन वंस एबिलिटी टू इन्फ्लुएंस आउटकम्स, autonomy, making independent choices, self-regulation, that is managing one's actions and emotions, self-realization, understanding one's strengths and weaknesses. और इसका कुछ थियरीज है, ज़्यादा कुछ टाइम नहीं लूँगा मैं। कॉग्निटिव एवैल्यूएशन थियरी है, जिसमें अजम्पशन है कि बेसिक ह्यूमन नेचर इज दैट ह्यूमंस नीड, स्ट्राइव फॉर एंड बेनिफिट फ्रॉम फीलिंग्स ऑफ ऑटोनॉमी। तो आप लर्निंग थियरीज बहुत सारे सुने होंगे, तो इसमें एक बट all these theories will not explain all the behaviors, so that's why we usually use different theories to understand different constructs. In this theory, it does not mean that organisms do not want any structure or input at all, but they want total independence without any influence from others. Or it's not that they don't care about others or about relationships, rather it means they want to find their own way to accommodate social forces and directives, figuring out what is important and why, and internalizing them. So it's not necessarily anything to do with person with intellectual disability, it is for everybody. So this is how it would explain the kind of autonomy that all of us wants to have in our lives. कुछ अदर थियरीज है कि सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन थियरी और इकोलॉजिकल मॉडल, पर्सन सेंटर्ड प्लानिंग, आपका जो मटेरियल दिया है उसमें भी है, आप उसमें यू कैन गो थ्रू. In self-determination theory, it focuses on the need for autonomy, competence, and relatedness, whereas ecological model, it looks at the environmental factors, and person-centered planning, it emphasizes individuals' preferences, strengths, and needs. और थोड़ा ये जो सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन थियरी में ये साइकोलॉजिकल फ्रेमवर्क फॉर अंडरस्टैंडिंग ह्यूमन मोटिवेशन, it is again developed by Deci and Ryan. It posits that people are driven by a need to grow and gain fulfillment. And in this, the three components: autonomy, competence, and relatedness. If you look at autonomy, it refers to the need to feel in control of one's behavior and goals. It is a sense of being the author of one's actions rather than feeling pressured or coerced by external forces. Sense of control and self-direction fosters intrinsic motivation where individuals pursue activities because they find them inherently exciting or enjoyable. Uh, तो examples जैसा कि you will see or you will observe that people's performance or participation in activities will be greatly increased when they actually do it in a kind of voluntary basis, or when they like it doing rather than being forced or being given directions that you need to fill this or complete the task kind of thing. So it is applicable for everyone. It has nothing to do with intellectual disability, and it becomes more important in intellectual disability because some of the assumptions are that in people with intellectual disability, they may not know what is best for them. Competence, it involves the feelings effective and capable in one's activities. It is about mastering tasks and learning new skills, which provides a sense of accomplishment and confidence. Importance is competence enhances motivation by making individuals feel capable and skilled. When people experience growth and success, they are more likely to persist and invest effort in their activities. तो ये भी हम बहुत सारे लोगों में more common observation that when people tend to complete tasks with some kind of success or quality, they tend to repeat it more, or they tend to gain some kind of pleasure out of the competency that they are showing in execution of the tasks, which is likely to again increase their परफॉर्मेंस और पार्टिसिपेशन. जब बार बार करते हैं और जब ठीक से नहीं कर पाते हैं तो शायद उनका जो ड्राइव भी उतना होता है वो थोड़ा कम हो सकता है. And relatedness, it is a need to feel connected to others, belong, and be significant in others' lives. It involves having meaningful relationships and interactions with others. The importance of this is that feeling connected and valued by others supports motivation and well-being. Social interactions and sense of community provide emotional support and enhance engagement in various activities. So just to explain little more about this relatedness concept, हमारा यहाँ एक डे केयर सेंटर है निम्हांस के अंदर, जो इसमें हर दिन करीब 70 to 80 persons with various mental health problems, which includes people with chronic mental illness like schizophrenia, bipolar affective disorder, and people who have intellectual disabilities. It can be moderate, mild degree, or a combination of intellectual developmental disorders. They do come here, they do spend time in various what we call as sections. So बहुत सारे एक्टिविटीज होते रहेंगे सेक्शंस में. तो ये लोग सुबह 9 बजे आएंगे, शाम 4 बजे तक यहाँ बैठ के जाएंगे. तो जब हम उनसे पूछते हैं कि what is that makes you to come here, what is that you like to come and spend time, very few people say that I like this kind of candle making, I like this kind of tailoring, those kind of things. Though there are some people who say that they like the activities, but more than that, what they say is that they have friends here, and they like spending time here because nobody would judge them, nobody would force them to do any kind of activity. They feel that they are related, and they find relation with similar other people, and they feel that they are connected. So that is one thing that determines their willingness to come. So this also becomes a core component of self-determination. So how do we apply this self-determination in various settings? It can be in educational or workplace setting or social settings. I think all of us, various professionals or even caregivers, should create environments that supports the intrinsic motivation, personal growth, and fulfillment by understanding and addressing these core needs. So how can we do that? Some kind of strategies that could foster this self-determination is encouraging the choice making, that even if sometimes it may appear that the choices are not logical or not reasonable, but providing an option that they can make some kind of choices, and if any choices are disregarded also, perhaps that should be explained to them. And teaching decision making skills, promoting goal setting and achievement, developing problem solving skills, enhancing communication skills, building self advocacy, all these things. I think all these things, it's not that only people with intellectual developmental disability lacks these things. All of us, I think, have various degrees of these skills. Some may have more skills, some may have less skills. So I usually try to look at these things as, rather than present or absent, I think I try to see these as a kind of less skills, moderate skills, and great skills. That's why we see that people who have a higher degree of these skills, we see very high performers, or some kind of very popular public figures who will manage time very well. And all of us, I think, have these kind of limitations in certain domains of what we are describing. Also, it's not that the skills will be constant. Skills can become better, and skills also can go down if things doesn't go well because of the environmental exposure and some kind of stimulating environment. If it is not there, then skills again can go down. The other model is ecological model. As I said, it recognizes the environmental factors that play a role in self-determination. That self-determination is not just solely an individual trait or some kind of inbuilt character, but others also play a role. It can be the immediate family environment, where family, school, or peers who would play a role. Other nearby extended kind of thing that is called as mesosystem, connections between the home and school. The ecosystem, that is environment such as community resources, social services, parents workplace, access to community resources and supportive services, and also the policies and practices within the social services that prioritize person-centered planning, fostering environments which are conducive to self-determination. मान लीजिए अगर कोई एनवायरनमेंट या पॉलिसी ऐसा हो जो जो अलाउ नहीं करता है जिन लोगों को खुद पे डिपेंड होने के लिए या खुद का डिसीजन लेके मूव होने के लिए, तो उनमें वो जो क्वालिटी ही वो नर्चर नहीं होता है। तो इसलिए it's not that only the family caregivers are nearby extended environment, it is a societal kind of thing. Policies, all those things also plays a significant role. And also the macro system, that is cultural and societal context, uh, uh, norms, values, laws, and all these things also play a significant role. I'll also tell maybe at the end about the need for why this macro system, how it plays a significant role in which is relevant to our cultural context. The other thing is chronosystem, dimensions of time, which includes life transitions, historical events, changes over the lifespan. So historical changes in societal attitudes and policies towards the disability influence the evolving context of self-determination. So अभी आप देख लीजिए कि ये जो disability model अभी हम most of the widely accepted current disability model is that social model of disability, where disability results from not just the sensory, motor, or psychological impairments or challenges, but also because of the challenges in the environment which reduce the participation of a person. So classic example आप जो बहुत सारे बार सुनाया होगा कि जब आदमी को रैंप नहीं मिलता है तो वो सेकंड फ्लोर नहीं जा सकता है। वही आदमी अगर आप रैंप दीजिए, व्हीलचेयर दीजिए, तो सेकंड फ्लोर जा सकता है। मतलब वहां जाके काम करने के लिए खाली उसका जो लोअर लिम्ब प्रॉब्लम है वो खाली एक ही प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, जो एनवायरनमेंट का लिमिटेशन भी कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहा है। ठीक उसी तरह even people with intellectual disability sometimes when we try to fit them in the uh, existing environment and we try to force them to take the regular exams, then they may have challenges in completing the 10th board or 11th board or 12th board and completing those exams. So instead of making them to fit the environment which is based on the majority people, creating some kind of uh, uh, environmental opportunities which they can use and move on is what the social model describes. And this is a change in our own societal perspectives. एक 50 साल पहले या 40 साल पहले अगर इसी को कोई बोलता है तो शायद बहुत लोग उसको मानते नहीं है. तो व्हाट आई मीनिंग इज दैट हमारा ओपिनियंस जो कलेक्टिव ओपिनियंस जो है सोसाइटी का ये भी बदलते रहता है. ये एक दिन में टाइम के हिसाब से भी चेंज होता है. तो दैट इज व्हाट द क्रोनो सिस्टम व्हिच सेज दैट. एंड इसका इस्तेमाल बहुत सारे जगह पे भी हो सकता है और होते रहता है. और तीसरा है जो पर्सन सेंटर्ड प्लानिंग. इसमें ये थियरी के हिसाब से इंडिविजुअल शुड बी पुट एट द सेंटर ऑफ द प्लानिंग प्रोसेस. इट प्रमोट्स ऑटोनॉमी, रेस्पेक्ट एंड पर्सनलाइज्ड सपोर्ट. की प्रिंसिपल्स है इंडिविजुअल प्रेफरेंसेस शुड बी टेकन इनटू कंसिडरेशन. उनका स्ट्रेंथ्स क्या है उसको असेस करके उसके हिसाब से प्लान करना पड़ेगा. होलिस्टिक व्यू एंड इंक्लूसिव प्रोसेस. सो even other frequently example that we discuss is that a person with say autism spectrum disorder who has significant challenges in communication and socialization. However, the person has significant other strengths in terms of regularity, in terms of repetitiveness of task completion with perfection, those things. So those strengths-based approach will be used for a person-centered planning and discussion about whether such person would like to have some kind of any works that would not involve significant human interactions or limited interactions kind of thing. Or again, it would be based on the individual preference. It's not that we professionals should create a plan just based on the strength. It should be a combination of individual preference and strengths. And sometimes it is also possible that strengths has to be discussed with the person because sometimes their own self-awareness about strengths and deficits may be limited. Even not only उसका है, उनका घर वालों का भी कभी कभी जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग थोड़ा कमी होता है, वो भी ये जो पर्सन सेंटर्ड प्लानिंग बनाने के लिए बहुत दिक्कतें खड़ा करती है. तो what are the challenges with person centered planning is that authentic participation ensuring is challenge, balancing needs and resources because every system may not have same resources. Even if let's say a person who is keen on developing and acquiring some kind of computer kind of skills, but the person lives in some kind of rural environment where either gaining a skill or even gaining into employment in that particular trade can be a significant challenge. And person-centered planning also requires a constant long-time support because there will be challenges in the process. And person should be flexible to adjust goals. ऐसा नहीं कि पर्सन सेंटर प्लानिंग बना दिया 2015 में और उसी के हिसाब से कंटिन्यू करेंगे. It has to be revised over a period of time to see whether things are going in the line or not. Involvement of other family members to the extent which will not affect the person centric approach but involve some components of family centric approach. So ये जो person centric approach है, even persons with mental illness, what we see in rehabilitation or when we look at the published literature, we find some challenges in going ahead with that because most of this literature comes from the Western countries where usually एक person जो 18 साल हो गया तो घर से बाहर जाता है या घर के दूर रहता है और government will look after the person rather than family providing any kind of care. Where in our system अगर उनको intellectual disability है या mental illness है ये अगर नहीं है तो भी बहुत सारे लोग मिलके रहते हैं वहाँ पे. दो I'll give an example. I have a person with schizophrenia who comes to my OPD clinic. उसका अभी उम्र है 52 years और 55 years. उनके साथ उनका मम्मी भी आती है, उनका 80 years है. तो जब ओपीडी में बैठते हैं तो बहुत सारे टाइम इनके जगह मदर अभी भी डिसीजंस लेती है। तो ऐसा है हमारा सिस्टम जो we need to be aware of our own cultural kind of things where whether there is a illness or not, sometimes family members involvement in decision making is very significant, and purely going on with only the person plan sometimes may not go well. So we need to see the context. In some families, they would encourage the person to take decisions and to face the consequences. In some families, they may not be happy with that kind of thing. So one need to be sensitive the context and the family background, their cultural background, while making these kind of approaches. एंड पहले भी मैंने बताया था ये जो सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन एबिलिटी आई डोंट सी इट एज अ कैटेगरी दैट इज प्रेजेंट और एब्सेंट बट इट इज अ डायमेंशन दैट लेस और मोर एंड actualizing the emphasis on self-determination would require a major change in the current approach to educating, parenting or planning for children and youth with disabilities. अभी भी बहुत सारे हमारा सिस्टम्स का assumptions है या बहुत सारे लोगों का assumptions ऐसा होता है कि young people or even people with intellectual disabilities, they are not knowing what is best for them, and sometimes they may have certain experiences to back their beliefs because somebody takes a decision which doesn't go well, and therefore they feel that people with intellectual disabilities should be guided by others. But again, it's a kind of debatable kind of thing when we talk about the self determination ability. तो इसमें challenges क्या है कि to some extent, as I said already, that it comes significantly from the Western societies where individual life choices are of utmost importance. It is not uncommon, as I said, that discussing with family caregivers whose opinions are also important, and also who are the important decision makers for any planning that as a professional when you make for a person with intellectual disability, especially if it does not involve family caregivers, it can be a challenge. Now, sometimes not only the family caregivers, even mental health and rehabilitation professionals can have their own personal biases on the need and scope for allowing the self-determination in PI persons with intellectual disability. So just to raise some kind of discussion, एक छोटा सा सवाल पूछता हूँ कि एक मेरा एक ओपीडी में आता है एक पर्सन जो 23-year-old lady with mild IDD. She wants to leave her village and to work in a city by residing in a PG. Her mother and father are concerned about potential safety issues, risks of being exploited sexually, and the need for close monitoring by family caregivers. और वो लोग feel करते हैं कि day-to-day monitoring and is not possible for them, and they're concerned about this person's smartphone usage. So family members ka concerns, they are to some extent are genuine, where they're not against in terms of allowing the person to become autonomous, but they are concerned about the risks that comes by allowing with self determination of people with intellectual disability. और इसी को हम बहुत सारे यंग लोगों में भी देखते हैं, मतलब जो टीनेज में भी जो इनको इंटेलेक्चुअल डिसेबिलिटी नहीं होगा भी, फिर भी family members wants to put some kind of control, and teens want some kind of autonomy kind of thing. So I don't think it is unique for persons with intellectual disability. Now, आपको क्या लगता है कि इस टाइम में शायद एज अ रिहैबिलिटेशन प्रोफेशनल हमको क्या करना चाहिए? बाद में बात कर सकते हैं हम, मतलब और कुछ एग्जांपल्स बोलता हूँ, जैसे कि एक मिस्टर ए हैज अ मॉडरेट इंटेलेक्चुअल डिसेबिलिटी एंड अटेंड्स डे केयर फॉर एंगेजमेंट. His desire is to have a smartphone access just the way his sibling was provided by his mother to attend college. He demands that his disability pension should be used to buy the smartphone. However, his mother urges the professionals to counsel his son to drop this idea. और और एक एग्जांपल है, मिस सी इज ए 25-year-old lady with mild intellectual disability. Husband wants her to improve the functionality to look after her household chores. So it is not uncommon that mild intellectual disability people with particularly women getting married, especially in rural context, because sometimes we have seen that families they try to arrange marriages with even within the distant relatives, and they see it as a kind of solution for what after me kind of thing, what we see in some other families. So in this, Miss C requests her mother to apply for divorce and for a new marriage because her husband is constantly asking her to do all the household works. So, what do you think would be a stance a rehabilitation professional should take if we want to allow the self-determination of the person, let the person decide for themselves? So मेरा understanding है कि professional should approach this as a process. All factors influencing the choices made by the persons with intellectual disability should be considered, discussed in details about the consequences. To the best extent possible, family caregivers should be on board. In cases where professionals have doubts, they should consult other professional colleagues also. Professionals too should be open to the idea that persons with intellectual disability can make wrong choices and learn from them just the way others without intellectual disability do these things. So just one more addition about that if you are you might be already aware that the Rights of Persons with Disability Act 2016 section 13 and 14 deals with legal capacity and legal guardianship. Only when it is determined that persons with disability, including intellectual disability persons, are unable to take legally binding decisions, he or she should be provided further support and through a such limited guardianship. Such guardianship can be limited in time or for the domain in which limited guardianship can offer support. Like for example, the limited guardianship certificate can state that so and so person will be limited guardian for so and so person for this duration, that is 2 years, 3 years kind of thing, and also will take decisions only in these areas. It is not that once appointed legal guardian can take every decision on behalf of the person. The term limited means it can be in terms of period, it can be in terms of domain. So a person with limited guardianship also can be, for example, only for financial transactions, those kind of things. Why I am also bringing that is that there is some kind of confusion whether the RPWD Act of Limited Guardianship will prevail or National Trust Act issued guardianship by the local level committee will prevail. But I think unless this issue comes before the court and court interprets, we will not know. As of now, both are going on, both are being given. People are receiving these kind of things. Still, local level committees does exist. Ministry of Social Justice has given a clarification saying that both will be there. But one of the challenge that we sometimes foresee is that Rights of Persons with Disability Act says that guardianship certificate granted under any other law will become limited after the RPWD Act. So we don't know what happens with those kind of things already that have been issued. And RPWD Act also states that when there is a conflict of interest in a particular financial or property transaction, the limited guardian shall abstain from providing support to PWD in the transaction. So this applies for persons with intellectual disability also. So there are already district limited guardianship granting boards by the under the chairman of DC deputy commissioners are established in several states. I think I'm not sure it is across the country or still it is going on in some places. However, I feel that the self-determination, the construct, or even to implement that, not just theory is sufficient or understanding is sufficient. There should be systems like local level committees which are established for determining the need for legal guardianship. Such kind of system should be there to support, to make their choices, especially if the choices are different from their caregivers. Also, maybe lack of such systems contribute to confinement of persons with intellectual disability in NGO-run or state-run custodial institutions, where persons with intellectual disabilities are often confined with the presumption that they cannot decide what is best for them. सो आई डोंट नो अगर आप दिल्ली में भी आपको शायद बहुत सारे सोशल सर्विस होम्स फॉर पर्सन्स विद इंटेलेक्चुअल डिसेबिलिटी होंगे, तो अगर आप वहाँ पे जाके उन लोगों से पूछेंगे कि आप में कितना लोग यहाँ पे रहना चाहेंगे, कि मुझे नहीं मालूम कितना लोग बोलेंगे कि वहाँ पे रहना चाहेंगे, क्योंकि हर किसी को कुछ ना कुछ एक आइडिया होता है वेदर इट इज अप्रूव्ड बाय अदर्स whether other people consider it as a logical or not, but some people do not want to stay and confine these kind of places. And yes, once they leave that place, they may be also vulnerable, and they may be exploited, and they may also come onto streets without any kind of things. But when we talk about self determination, the question is that are our systems are ready to allow self determination in people, especially when if family caregivers are not there, or even when family caregivers oppose for that kind of thing. So I don't have any kind of answers for those kind of things, but I'm just thinking that even for these kind of things, the district level committees can be or should be there, in a way similar to mental health review boards. मेंटल हेल्थ केयर एक्ट के अंदर एक मेंटल हेल्थ रिव्यू बोर्ड है, तो हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में एक होना है, जिसमें जब आदमी को लगता है कि उनको कोई ट्रीटमेंट नहीं चाहिए, मगर साइकियाट्रिस्ट को और फैमिली केयर को लगता है कि उनको ट्रीटमेंट चाहिए, when there is a discrepancy in the need for treatment of opinions, this mental health review board, हम जो MHRB बोलते हैं, it will take a decision. And MHRB में even people जो mental illness से recover होता है, caregivers होता है, वो सब रहते हैं, social workers होता है, psychiatrist भी होता है, और this board will take a decision whether person can be treated involuntarily or not. In the same way, जब अगर कोई सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन का चैलेंज होता है, मतलब आदमी जो डिटरमिन कर रहा है खुद के लिए, वो बाकी लोगों को नहीं लग रहा है कि वो रीजनेबल है, तो शायद such kind of boards which will help the people to decide for themselves may be one way to see. And frequent and appropriate public education and awareness programs should be conducted to positively change the public opinions. जैसा कि मैंने कहा कि जो हमारा अभी जो चल रहा है, जो सोशल मॉडल ऑफ डिसेबिलिटी, पहले आपको इम्पेयरमेंट है, ब्लाइंडनेस है, डिसेबल्ड, तो हियरिंग इम्पेयरमेंट है, डिसेबल्ड, मतलब इम्पेयरमेंट है तो डिसेबिलिटी, अभी ऐसा नहीं है, तो इम्पेयरमेंट इज ओनली वन कंपोनेंट। तो ये बदलावट एक दिन में नहीं आया, पब्लिक ओपिनियन चेंज एक दिन में नहीं हुआ, अभी भी बहुत सारे मेडिकल प्रोफेशनल्स, आई वुड से दैट दे आर स्टिल नॉट अवेयर ऑफ द सोशल मॉडल ऑफ डिसेबिलिटी, दे स्टिल look at the medical model of disability only, which is there still 1980s. So ठीक इसी तरह जब सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन का कॉन्सेप्ट आता है, तो पर्सन्स विद इंटेलेक्चुअल डिसेबिलिटीज को ये हो सकता है कि हमारा जो पुराना जो लर्निंग है, जैसे कि माइल्ड इंटेलेक्चुअल डिसेबिलिटी, उसका इंटेलेक्चुअल एबिलिटी 8th स्टैंडर्ड तक होता है, और मॉडरेट इंटेलेक्चुअल डिसेबिलिटी उसका जो इंटेलिजेंस 3rd स्टैंडर्ड ऐसा कुछ होता है, तो सीवियर का 1st स्टैंडर्ड या यूकेजी ऐसा होता है, प्रोफाउंड का 1 साल का 2 साल का होता है। ऐसा फिक्स्ड स्टीरियोटाइपिक ओपिनियंस है हम जो पढ़ा है शायद, तो ये हमको प्रिवेंट करता है, जैसे कि once we feel that this person is mental age is 10 years, this person will never take a decision that is what good for them. So such kind of discussions, as of now, for example, today's workshop and these kind of things should happen more frequently with multiple stakeholders. ऐसा कुछ जो पर्सपेक्टिव्स और ओपिनियंस में बदलाव आ सकता है, तब तक तो शायद मुश्किल है, दैट्स व्हाई आई कॉल इट एज अ प्रोसेस। तो इसमें रिहैबिलिटेशन प्रोफेशनल्स का क्या काम है, तो मुझे लगता है कि रिहैबिलिटेशन प्रोफेशनल्स नॉट ओनली फैसिलिटेट सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन स्किल्स, they can also sensitize other stakeholders who play a role in building the self-determination abilities. They can convey the theoretical backgrounds on what psychological social factors that will influence in general and in persons with intellectual disability, and they can also work with family caregivers to allow the persons with intellectual disabilities to make choices as much as possible. To provide rehabilitation services in which self-determination, self-advocacy becomes one key component, to educate the societal members on the need for allowing the self-determination in persons with intellectual disability, to support the choices made by intellectual disability persons even when they are questionable by others, to develop tools that would aid professionals and teachers to understand the choice-making ability in persons with intellectual disability, especially if they have limited or poor speech and communication skills. तो जब वो फ्रीली एक्सप्रेस करता है तो उसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं होता है, फिर भी थोड़ा कुछ हो सकता है कि इनका मेंटल एज कम है तो इसीलिए उसको शायद हम डिस्कार्ड कर सकते हैं, मगर बहुत सारे लोग जिनका स्पीच एंड कम्युनिकेशन एबिलिटीज डेवलप ही नहीं हुआ, तो हाउ विल वी हेल्प देम इन सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन, दैट्स अ ह्यूज चैलेंज। So एक मुझे लगता है कि more research is needed to understand the conceptual framework of self-determination in our cultural context. It also should explore multiple stakeholder perspectives, as their views also can shape. Example, often persons from vulnerable background achieve great success when someone who believes them support them. तो एक example usually हम जो discuss करते हैं कि if you look at 30 years back or even 50, maybe little back, that one thing that often expressed by some people, that why women should be given some kind of hard jobs because they cannot do that kind of perspective was there, because they never saw the kind of thing that women can do. Over a period of time, when women started doing things on par with men and sometimes even more than men, then people's perspectives started changing. So theoretical discussions sometimes do not change the way that people look at it. Is actual happenings or experiential accounts which changes the people's perspectives. Therefore, family members should be encouraged to allow the persons to determine self and to do things. And in that process, yes, a few ups and downs can happen, but that is how we will know that how things can move forward. So professionals and family caregivers should involve persons with intellectual disability to express their views and experience in this regard on public platforms, including scientific forums about their issues. Many times, if we look at the scientific platforms, it will be usually by the professionals. And of late, I think, yes, people are coming in these platforms to raise. One example that I can say is that as I said, that I'm not still working closely with people with intellectual disability who are advocating for themselves, but I work sometimes with people with mental illness who call themselves as user survivors, who write books, who write blogs, who describe their own life journeys. And if people with intellectual disability also starts sharing their opinions in a public way, kind of things, that is one thing that can also help this process of changing the public's opinions. So even I don't know how many of you heard in USA there is in 2009, sorry, I think 10, there is something called as Rosa's law. So a young girl who felt that the term mental retardation, which was being practiced in USA even till that time, was very offending, because people started calling her as retarded. So she submitted a representation to the then President Barack Obama, saying that the term mental retardation is very offending. Then the Congress has passed a law removing the term mental retardation and replacing it with intellectual disability. So now, though we call as intellectual disability, look at our own National Trust Act, which still struck with the word mental retardation. So unless there is a change in that kind of thing, I don't think that we are moving forward. And I don't know any other Indian Rosa student or Indian Rosa like person would write this to competent authorities to bring some kind of changes, or because their voice sounds louder than professionals advocating for changes. So, as I said, this is what I shared as my learnings and thoughts. So, इसमें अगर कोई आपको कुछ clarifications चाहिए या कुछ पूछना है तो please.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, this is Dr. Alok.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes, I would like to just make some clarification. So now, after the RPT Act, the Rights of Persons with Disability Act 2016, the notification which was passed for the persons with intellectual and developmental disability, that the persons with mild can go up to class 10, moderate can go up to third, and all. It has nullified it. The government has reversed that notification, because it has the advocacy from Manovikas. It is already written by in the government department, in the government document. If mentally challenged persons 10th class के beyond नहीं जा सकते. तो इसीलिए कोई भी छूट, कोई भी रिजर्वेशन उनको मिलता ही नहीं था। इवन कि 1995 के एक्ट में उसके बारे में कोई बात नहीं कही थी। So we in Manovikas we started the first community college for them, and we saw them to them. Okay, these people have the degree from the Indira Gandhi National Open University. This they are going to the university education. So your college, if they are going to the college education, then why you saying they can't go to class 10 or beyond class 10 and all? So in 2013 we have done the one convocation, and there we have raised the voice. Okay, just finish that your notification, just to take out that notification and give the provisions of 1% reservation in coming act. So in the coming act, there is a 1% reservation in that act, the RPD Act 2016. There is a 1% reservation for the person with IDD also. So that part has now is gone. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I absolutely agree. I think still that's what I'm saying, that there are people who are traditionally trained 15, 20 years back, who don't update constantly on their own things of latest developments and continues to believe in these. Even for example, if you look at some kind of psychology textbooks which are often used by people, still continue to hold the same things, which sometimes people try to or learn or believe these things.
And your suggestion about the removing the terms for from the National Trust Act, it is very good, and maybe the Manovikas Advocacy Group can take it forward.
Good, sir. Please.
Anybody else? Yeah, please. Yeah.
Sir, is it mandatory that those who are having the certificate of disability, the person with special needs, certificate of disability they have. So is it mandatory that they should have a legal guardian?
To apply for a limited guardianship under the Rights of Persons with Disability Act, they must have a disability certificate.
Master disability certificate, but if he or she can means accommodate their life, if they can handle money or they can handle their situations, then it is not mandatory. I think.
No. What I'm saying is that the contrary. People who want to apply, they can apply. It's not that every person with intellectual disability requires a guardian. No.
Can I, with your permission, sir?
Sir, please.
The Guardianship Act is very much, we should understand. So after 80, once you complete the 80, there is no guardian.
Yes.
For everyone, including the persons with disability, non-disability, everyone. So why it is required? If there is some problem to manage the, the decision-making process, maybe in terms of the physical security of the person, the financial security of the person, if there is something is required, then you can go to the apply for the guardianship. Otherwise, you doesn't require any guardian. But in the terms of intellectual disability or autism or cerebral palsy, the National Trust Act is there. So even if you go to the bank and then bank people will ask you to bring the guardianship certificate for these people, then I will give you the permission to start the banking and all. So there you can find, okay, if I am able to take the decision, then why you ask me the guardianship certificate? So there is again, there the advocacy is required. There is no compulsion is required. No compulsion. Yeah, anybody else, please? It is very clear. Sir, you have given a very good idea about the PCP, the person-centered planning. And I would like to request, because we are practicing it in Manovikas, yes, not in full, पूरी तरह से नहीं करते, लेकिन हाँ, वो PCP plan होता है, and that more to the persons, those who are the high support need. High support need की मतलब जो हम जितना उसको facility दे रहे हैं, जितना accommodations दे रहे हैं, वो कम है. Suppose हमने क्लासरूम में पढ़ाने के लिए accommodation दिया, एग्जाम में लिखने के लिए राइटर दिया, लगता है कि फिर भी कम है. To understand कि okay, now what more you require. So maybe he required the kind of technological support. Maybe he kind of some other thing he may require. तो पीसीपी में हमें एक चीज और, अगर हम पीसीपी के बारे में थोड़ा और जाने, पर्सन सेंटर्ड प्लानिंग, हम लोगों ने आईपी के बारे में सुना होगा, इंडिविजुअलाइज्ड एजुकेशन प्लानिंग, आईएफएसपी के बारे में सुना होगा, इंडिविजुअलाइज्ड फैमिली सपोर्ट प्लानिंग, जो छोटे बच्चों के लिए करते हैं। थोड़े बड़े के लिए हम स्कूल में जब आते हैं तो आईईपी करते हैं। लेकिन जब हम पीसीपी के बारे में बात करते हैं, पर्सन सेंटर्ड प्लानिंग, बड़ा ही वो कभी-कभी टीचर को भी लगता है कि हम इसको क्यों पूरा ऑटोनॉमी दे दें अपने बारे में प्लान करने के लिए। पेरेंट्स को भी लगता है हम इसको पूरा खुला छूट दे देंगे, तुम अपने बारे में सोचो है। तो वहां पर आप एक तो मतलब थोड़ा सा धीरे-धीरे के प्रोसेस में you all as a teacher you can start the PCP, and but it is helpful for those who are the severely and profoundly, or the persons those who having the high support need, जितना आपने सपोर्ट किया है उससे और सपोर्ट की जरूरत, और ज्यादा सपोर्ट देना। तो वहां पर अगर आप पीसीपी प्लान करेंगे तो आपको और अंडरस्टैंडिंग होगा उसको हमें कैसे सपोर्ट देना चाहिए, उसको क्या चाहिए, किस तरह से चाहिए। तो मे बी यू हैव द 2.5 डे। तो आप यहाँ पर पीसीपी का फॉर्मेट हमने उसमें नहीं डाला है, क्या नाम है आपके रिसोर्स मटेरियल में। यू कैन सी इट, एंड इफ यू रिक्वायर्ड, इफ यू आर इंटरेस्टेड, देन यू कैन सी इट आल्सो। या और किसी के मन में कोई सवाल, शंका? सुना ही नहीं या दिमाग के ऊपर चला गया? तान्या, you want to ask something? Okay. Yes.
सर आपने 3 सिचुएशन दिए हैं, 3 केसेस को अभी प्रेजेंट किया है, जिसमें जो केस ए है उसके बारे में बात की थी। तो मेरा जो विचार है कि वो सपोर्टिव लिमिट में रह सकता है, जो पहला केस आपने बताया। और दूसरा केस जो है कि जो मॉडरेट लेवल का स्टूडेंट है और उसको मोबाइल चाहिए क्योंकि उसके दूसरे भाई बहन को भी वैसे ही मोबाइल मिला है, तो यहाँ पे मुझे बताना होगा, उस बच्चे को समझाना होगा कि उसकी यूज कहाँ तक है उसके साथ उस मोबाइल का। तो मेरा ये सजेशन है। और तीसरा है जो एक और केस जिसकी शादी हो चुकी है और वो अब अपने हस्बैंड को छोड़ के दूसरी शादी के लिए प्लान कर रही है। तो ये कोई सिचुएशन, उसको ये समझाना पड़ेगा कि भाई शादी कोई खेल नहीं है, और आप जिस कंडीशन में हो, जैसे पेरेंट्स ने आपको शादी किया है, तो अगर फैमिली में हस्बैंड के साथ कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, आपको वो सिखाना ही चाह रहा है, कुछ और नहीं कहना चाह रहा। तो अगर ये सारी चीजें हैं तो वहां पे तो काउंसलिंग ही काम करेगा। और ये ऑलरेडी हम लोगों के साथ हो चुका है, हम लोगों ने इसको बहुत लाइव, बहुत करीब से देखा है। तो यहाँ पे सिर्फ और सिर्फ काउंसलिंग ही काम करता है, स्टूडेंट एज वेल एज जो उसका हस्बैंड है और जो उसके ससुराल वाले हैं। तो यही मेरा एक्सपीरियंस जो है अभी तक का, कि 3 केसेस को मुझे इस तरह से डील करना चाहिए, और ये मुझे काफी अच्छा लगा, इसलिए मैंने इस पर बोलना चाहिए। थैंक यू।
थैंक यू मैम। आई थिंक आई टेक योर पॉइंट एंड आई एग्री। मैं आपके साथ सहमति से भी हूँ, मगर एक डिबेट करना चाहता हूँ कि अगेन एज ए प्रोफेशनल और एज ए पर्सन इन सोसाइटी, हम उनको बताना चाह रहे हैं कि ये तुम्हारे लिए अच्छा है, और ये सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन के खिलाफ है। तो सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन में हम बोलते हैं कि उनको पूरा चॉइस है, खाली हम एडवांटेजेस और डिसएडवांटेजेस बोल सकते हैं, और जो भी अच्छा है या बुरा है, दे शुड बी लेफ्ट टू टेक द काइंड ऑफ चॉइस। सो अगेन इसीलिए मैंने बोला कि कभी कभी हमारा आवर ओन पर्सनल बायसेस विल कम इनटू दिस थिंग। ऐसा नहीं कि ऐसा नहीं आना चाहिए, मगर it's a debatable issue. For example, I don't think that we do with everybody who wants to leave their husband. Sometimes it is our own belief that what will happen to this person will make us to tell what we want to tell. If we think that this is going to work well and this person will live well, we will say that I think maybe you should consider. And if we think that this person will suffer more, we will try to tell that more. So हमको जो अच्छा लगता है या हमको को सही लगता है वो एक काउंसलिंग के द्वारा अंदर आता है, दो इट इज नॉट इन लाइन विद द सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन. खाली डिबेट के लिए बोल रहा हूं मैं.
I have one more thing because you have extensive experience. We have started this self-determination and the self-advocacy program aligning with the other programs like Suchita. We have the one program, we are supporting the women with disabilities, intellectual disabilities, for study, for skill training. And thereafter, they have got the job also. And they are good, earning very good with DS Group. 15,000 rupees they are earning. And they are planning for the marriage also. Okay, in that program, which we can say that the one component is missing in our whole program, that is called independent living. Not we can say the adult support system. So why I'm saying this adult support system? Because उसको बॉयफ्रेंड भी बनाना है और एक नहीं 3 बॉयफ्रेंड बनाना है, ठीक है. उसको शादी भी करनी है, अपने चॉइस का ही करनी है. मे बी वो इसको एक्सप्लॉइट कर रहा है, वो बच्चा समझ नहीं पा रहा है हमको एक्सप्लॉइट कर रहा है या नहीं कर रहा है, लेकिन हम रिजिड हैं कि हमें करनी क्योंकि आपने हमें प्रोग्राम में इतना इंडिपेंडेंस दे दिया है, इतना सोचने समझने की क्षमता दे दी है कि हम अपना चॉइस बना सकते हैं, डिसीजन ले सकते हैं. So in that critical situation, as an institution, as an maybe wherever she is living, that is also an institution, child care home. That is for the adults, not the child care home. We can say the adult care home. And as a support organization like Manovikas, we are supporting their whole programs. उसको हमने स्किल ट्रेनिंग भी दे दिया, सब चीज दे दिया. अब हम लोग उस जगह पर आकर अटक गए हैं जहां पर उसका डिसीजन भी है कि हमें शादी करनी है, ठीक है, और हमें लगता है कि नहीं वो सही नहीं है. इवन as per the program, I can add you one more thing. As per the training, we have given the whole things like how you can manage your sexual and reproductive systems, how you can start from the contraceptives and everything we have given. तो वो कहते हैं हमें तो सब चीज पता है कि कब टैबलेट लेना है, कब क्या करना है, हमें तो सब चीज पता है. Okay, but somehow as an institution we feel कि नहीं वो गलत रास्ते पे जा रही है. Maybe the beneficiary, the stakeholder, he feels okay or she feels हम सही रास्ते पे जा रहे हैं. What to do then?
Yes, sir. That's what I'm saying, that sometimes professionals tend to take the role of parent. After a long time of association with people with intellectual disability, I think we should consciously introspect करना चाहिए कि maybe अगर मैं कभी-कभी ऐसा करता हूँ कि ऐसा नहीं कि मैं भी सीखता हूँ कि शायद पहले ऐसा करता हूँ कि नहीं ये अच्छा नहीं है कि मैं बहुत बार पहले भी देख चुका हूँ, 2 लोगों को मैं जब सजेशन दिया तो वो लोग सुना नहीं है, तो उनके साथ ऐसा हो गया था, शायद तुम्हारे साथ भी ऐसा हो सकता है. So what I would try to say is that I would try to make them to write the consequences, that what do they understand of that. So once I feel that they have a fair enough understanding about all the consequences of actions that they are going to take, then I think I will allow some more time that relook at these things, and after that also if they are consistent on that, मैं तो अलाउ करता हूँ कि ठीक है, आपका जिंदगी आप जो करना चाहते हैं चाहिए, मगर इससे आप you be aware of these kind of things and understand that we will help you if things goes wrong, please come back. So that is how I would approach, sir.
Please share your yeah, please. Yeah. Yes.
Even I was thinking this on the same point which Dr. Alok sir was saying, that at times it becomes difficult that when you are parenting, like you are as a therapist or as a guardian, you are working as a parent, with them. You treat them as their own, as like your own children. So on moral grounds, at times when you know that they are on the wrong track, you need to guide them, and that time it becomes in a dilemma that whether you want to practice self-advocacy with them or you want to guide them, that if they are on the wrong path, then those adverse consequences, you can also feel guilty that I was there but I didn't take any step as a cautious step to guide them that what is right and what is wrong. So like sir, you are saying that you tell them to write the consequences so that they know that what they are going through and what will be the future consequences for them. But if they still go with that wrong path, then what is your next step for that? That what comes as an outcome for you? That do you go and go back to them and brief them again, or you leave them at their own wish?
I'll give a different example. Maybe like sometimes we see people with mental illness where हमको लगता है कि इनको शायद जिंदगी भर ट्रीटमेंट चाहिए, जैसा कि क्रॉनिक मेंटल इलनेस होता है, स्किज़ोफ्रेनिया, ऐसा बाइपोलर। तो जब बीमारी ज़्यादा होता है तो उस टाइम में बहुत सारे लोग दवाई लेने के लिए तैयार रहते हैं। मगर एक 6 महीने 1 साल के बाद जब सब ठीक ठाक रहता है तो उस टाइम में वो लोग लेने के लिए तैयार नहीं रहेंगे और बोलते हैं कि अब क्यों लेना है। तो वहाँ पे भी हमारा एक्सपीरियंस सजेस्ट करता है कि जब ये लोग छोड़ देता है तो अगले 6 महीने में 1 साल में फिर उसी हालात में वापस आएगा और आने के टाइम में बीमारी भी इतना ज़्यादा होगा कि कंट्रोल करना भी मुश्किल है। तो हम जितना हो सकता है उतना उनको समझाने की, एविडेंस देने की कोशिश करेंगे कि ये छोड़ने से ऐसा कुछ तकलीफ हो सकता है। तो बहुत सारे लोग जब वो हमको यकीन करते हैं या ऐसा नहीं कि हमारा पीपल fully independent है, they sometimes they want doctor to tell yes or no rather than taking independent decisions. So जब हम बोलते हैं कि तुमको लेना है तो वो लोग लेंगे, मगर 1-2 आदमी 3 आदमी ऐसा रहता है कि वो बोलता है कि यस, आप जो बोल रहे हैं मुझे मालूम है, इसके वजह से वापस आ सकता है। आई नो दैट if I take 20 years of medication, I may not get illness, but if I don't take medication, I may get illness or I may not get. I will take the risk. Now, तब तो मुझे मानना पड़ेगा क्योंकि every person can make a choice for themselves whether it is good or not. The reason why I also allow them to do is that I will take a different example. जैसे कि मान लीजिए बहुत सारे हेल्थ रिसर्च कहती है कि आपको स्मोकिंग नहीं करना है, हर दिन में 4 किलोमीटर 5 किलोमीटर वॉकिंग करना है, हर दिन में 3 लीटर पानी पीना है, ऐसा अच्छा खाना खाना है। तो कितना लोग कर रहा है? क्या हम सब लोगों को जबरदस्ती पकड़कर करवा रहे हैं क्या? तो हम अलाउ करते हैं कि उनका चॉइस है। तो जब बाकी लोगों को अनहेल्थी लाइफस्टाइल के लिए जब हम उतना ज़्यादा उत्सुक नहीं है, तो जब वो बोलता है कि नहीं मुझे ये नहीं करना है तो शायद हमको एक स्टेप लेना है बैक। तो इज व्हाट आई लर्न ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम।
So, sir, do we keep a check on them, or we just leave them that okay, if you have taken this decision, you are on your own now?
No, no, I would say that this is likely to go wrong, and please reach out us at the earliest if you think that things are going wrong, or if possible, I have अगर मेरे पास कुछ resources है तो मैं 2 महीने में 3 महीने में एक बार फोन करके उसको एक मेरा स्टूडेंट होता है या कोई हमारा सोशल वर्कर होता है, वो कॉल करके कैसा है ये भी पूछताछ करेंगे क्योंकि उससे हमको भी पता चलता है कि शायद हम जो रिस्क लिया है क्या वो अच्छा पे कर रहा है या कुछ गलत हो रहा है। So it's a learning point for us also if we follow it up.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Sir, regarding marriage and getting boyfriend or girlfriend, I want to say something that when they are in their teenage, we should teach them how to handle it. So we should tell them that marriage or making girlfriend and boyfriend is not a joke, not as a play. It is not a play. So it is the responsibility towards that girl or towards that boy. So you have to take the responsibility. If you want to make a boyfriend or girlfriend, you have to take his or her responsibility. So afterwards, you have to marry, and you have to take the responsibility. So think about that. If you are a girl, you have to take the responsibility for that boy and for his family. And if you are a boy, then you have to take the responsibility of that girl, total responsibility. So you have to think that part. And if in the teenage they begin like this, so when they will be big enough, take the decision, they will understand what to do and what not to do. So I think in that way we can handle it.
Yes, yes, I agree.
The cars and all, from teenage we can start that.
So, anybody else? Please, lots of time to leverage the expertise.
तो वही एक मैं सोच रहा था कि जो सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन अलाउ करने के लिए हम कितना तैयार है। हम जो बोलते हैं कि उन लोगों को सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन होना है, बट हाउ मच आर वी रेडी इज आल्सो समथिंग वी शुड इंट्रोस्पेक्ट, बिकॉज शायद आप लोग कितना ये जानकारी है। एक 2019 में एक गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया का एक रिपोर्ट आया है, जो बहुत सारे लोग साइकियाट्री हॉस्पिटल में 1 साल से जो ज़्यादा लोग अस्पताल में ऐसे ही रह रहे हैं, जैसे कि उनको फैमिली केयर गिवर्स नहीं है या उनको अबैंडन कर दिया है। तो उसमें करीब 4000 लोग पूरा अक्रॉस ये जो साइकियाट्री हॉस्पिटल में रह रहा है, जैसे कि कुछ लोग 10 साल से रह रहा है, कुछ लोग 15 साल से रह रहा है। तो उसमें बहुत सारे एक सिग्निफिकेंट प्रोपोर्शन ऑफ पीपल इंटेलेक्चुअल डिसेबिलिटी है। तो उनके लिए डिसीजंस सिस्टम्स ले रहा है, वो खुद नहीं ले रहा है, क्योंकि आई डोंट थिंक दैट पीपल willingly want to stay in a hospital ward for 25 years in a small kind of space without going anywhere. The same thing applies for even custodial institutions, जहाँ पे जो फैमिली लोग नहीं होते हैं तो एंट्री होता है, उनका एग्जिट कोई नहीं होता है, तो बुढ़ापे तक वहीं पे रहता है। तो when we talk about self determination also, I think we need to look into ourselves, how much are we ready.
थैंक यू डॉक्टर हरीश सर, आपने बहुत अच्छे से आज अंडरस्टैंडिंग सेल्फ डिटरमिनेशन की बात की और बहुत सारे केसेस को से शेयर किया। तो थैंक यू, आपका बहुत बहुत थैंक्स हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए, बहुत बहुत
थैंक यू।
Now we move to the next session, that is success. Next session is we start at 3:30, right? 9, 10 minutes of that. Next session is based on success story and case presentation.
Yeah. Pooja, are you speaking? Pooja, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Can we start now or we should have the 5 minutes break?
Sir, 5 minutes break.
Okay. So we will have the 5 minutes break. And I sure that you all will enjoy Pooja's session now. And those is online, offline that is और अच्छा लगता. But everyone will enjoy this thing. So हम लोग will break for 5 minutes.
पूजा मैम ने हैदराबाद से ज्वाइन किया है और रिहैबिलिटेशन साइकोलॉजिस्ट है और फाउंडर पार्टनर में टोटल सॉल्यूशन। सो वेलकम यू पूजा मैम।
Thank you.
We will take 5 minutes break. Okay.